Rindikiri Mugambi, why are you behaving like you are standing by some aisle other than a parliamentary aisle? Yes, thank you. The Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I'm happy to be back. And I hope, Honorable Kemani Kuria and all the members, you know that I have been carrying a lot of your responsibility and liability out there. I hope as a comrade and as a friend, that is on a right note. It doesn't need any point of order, Honorable Speaker.
What is out of order, Honorable Kuria Kimani?
You know, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro is trying to be clever when coming back to this House by saying he has been carrying our liabilities. My abilities are the only liabilities I have with my circle here. I have no any other liabilities. So the Honorable Member must substantiate which liabilities he has been carrying on our behalf, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
I am sure
you need to be much more explicit in some phrases.
Honorable Speaker, you know it has not been a very exciting period for the last many days, but we are always happy to carry the responsibility that we have as leaders, and we ought to do what we must, both inside the House and outside. Many times we are human beings, you have to balance many things, but that is not to say that I ought not to have been here when we did the vote of the finance bill. I ought to have been here, and of course voted towards my arguments, which of course, as you know, I was not in support throughout. But Honorable Speaker, that also reminds us that our responsibility is beyond our constituencies. That yes, I am a member of parliament for Kiharu, but sitting in the National Assembly, you carry the aspirations of the Kenyans who are in every part of this country. And I want to appreciate all Kenyans for the feedback that I got from Wajir, from Homa Bay Town, from one of my favorite counties called Marsabit. All the feedback that I got, and especially out of that, I take it. It makes me a better leader to be present here and also to be present out there so that we continue to make policies that affect the Kenyan people in the right way. And Honorable Speaker, therefore, I want to give a few comments and contribution towards this bill that is before us. What grows our economy, Honorable Speaker, and what has grown all other economies across the world is the private sector. And the private sector, when you want to look at how you actually want the private sector to behave, you look at various scenarios. There is a situation or in countries where what is done by the private sector is actually done by government. The other cadre is where you have very stringent regulation. And the other cadre, Honorable Speaker, is what we have, what we usually have in many countries, what is called deregulation, where there is a lot of laissez-faire that happens when it comes to the running of businesses and the private sector. But Honorable Speaker, when the economy grows and the performance of the economy generally, you look and zoom in the previous economies that we can refer to and the many economies that we can refer to that has grown. I'm using the name previous based on the growth. You realize that, Honorable Speaker, there is a lot that we can actually allocate and give credit to the deregulation and also to the dominant government that does business, ceding that space to the private sector. The opening up of China during the reign of Deng Xiaoping is what we credit as having been the basis of the Chinese growth. The basis of South Korean growth has all its credit based on deliberate policies of government to spur the private sector. Because the private sector is the one that has the agility and the versatility to grow the economy. We have also seen many countries that have tried to bear the weight of planning the economy in detail. Planning, therefore, meaning also involving and having a strong arm of government in the running of businesses. There are very few success stories, Honorable Speaker, if there are any. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is that we must always give us an environment where business and entrepreneurship grows. And in that growth, therefore, catapults the economy. Honorable Speaker, as we talk about that, it is also important to look at which are the bottlenecks that leads to a deceleration of economic growth when it is actually based on the private sector. Honorable Speaker, I want to give a scenario so that I give that point. And I want to use a scenario of a country like Nigeria, because the point I want to drive home is the point of patronage and where we mix so much politics with the private sector and business. In Nigeria, for example, we have very many people domiciled within Nigeria, indigenous Nigerians, who are doing very well for the economy. To cite just two, for example, one we know called Aliko Dangote. Out of the thriving of the of the private sector, he started by doing business by importing commodities. And he spent the same money he got as profit in making it as capital to build a manufacturing base and a manufacturing capacity in the products he was importing. Namely, for example, sugar and cement. It is the same profit that he actually used as capital to build a refinery. Honorable Speaker, this shows that the growth of the economy is totally influenced by one thing called entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, Honorable Speaker, is not just about Dangote. It is about many other Africans and the global citizens who have done very well in changing the economy using the profits they get out of their private sector businesses, Honorable Speaker. The point is that when we detach business and politics, we are able to have the right economic incentives where the people in business are entrepreneurs. So when they get profits, this profit is not usually a possession. It becomes capital for the next venture, therefore perpetuating a virtuous cycle where this profit becomes capital, this capital generates more profit, and on and on. And this opens up the economy for growth. It opens up employment opportunities. It opens up innovation. It opens up ingenuity. But Honorable Speaker, and I'm repeating because this is what I've seen is one of the most dangerous bottlenecks we have in Kenya. When patronage drives so much, and therefore those in leadership are still the ones doing business, of course, by making very good up a scenario. Businesses can think new ideas, act as part of the economic growth, Honorable Speaker. The other thing that I want to cite is that even as we talk about regulation in terms of businesses, it is also important for us to also give a breathing space to the businesses, so that even as we regulate, we make sure that regulation only works to spur business and also works to protect the customers. But when you now start having over-regulation, it hurts both the businesses and also hurts the customers. And there is always important, it's always important to find the right balance when it comes to regulation, because it is through regulation that we also streamline competition. As I come to the finish, Honorable Speaker, as we talk about businesses, because competition is also about business, it is important that we know that economies majorly grow out of industrialization. If we look at the segmentation of our economy, we realize we do a lot in terms of primary production, and especially in agriculture. Many people are employed there. But then you shift and jump industrialization and manufacturing, and then 65% of our economic activity in terms of wealth actually happens in the service industry. It means in between there, Honorable Speaker, which accounts for around 18% of our GDP, there lies manufacturing and there lies industrialization with all their value chains, including logistics, transportation, storage, and the rest. The fact of the matter is that that is the most productive area that you can have in an economy, and it is the one that creates a synergetic environment. It is important, Honorable Speaker, that as we grow the segment of the primary production and the service industry, that we know that there is no many economies we can cite that have leapfrogged or jumped industrialization and manufacturing and ended up creating quality jobs for the citizenry. Therefore, it is important for us to zero in there, lower the cost of energy, which is a major input. Most of manufacturing is dominant in terms of consumption of energy, and also upscale the skills that are needed and create an environment robustly that spurs industrialization, because it is out of there that the bigger solution of our economy lies. With those many remarks, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Honorable members, let us